Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Anthony Masi, and he was in a couple of things. He was a producer, and his name was Jason, producer on Hellraiser Evolutions, also a producer for Halloween 25 Years of Terror. And I really remember him from the episode of Eli Roth's History of Horror, which I absolutely love that series that goes on AMC FearFest every year. So, how you doing, Anthony?
I'm great. I just have to say, you have like the best voice for a podcast. You're like the energy, you're like I'm raring to go.
Awesome. I appreciate it. I get that a lot. I do get that a lot, and I'm glad that it is good for a podcast, I tell you that. But thank you so much for that. So the first question I got for you, how did you get your start into filmmaking and producing?
Good question. Well, Halloween 25 Years of Terror was my first documentary, and that's really what opened all the doors. I created a convention back in 2000, wait, what was the year? 2003. In fact, behind me, let me see,
Oh, nice.
that poster and that poster are from the event, and it was the first all Halloween themed convention.
Yeah.
And that's where we had all the Michael Myers and the producers and everybody that worked on any of the Halloween movies, and there were eight until up until that point. And so everybody came from all over the world to attend this event, and we filmed it. And what I wanted to do, I was running a website back then called the Myers Museum, and it was a fan site. And then HalloweenMovies.com hired me to run their official website. And so what I wanted to do was record the event just to sell on a DVD for those who couldn't attend, like tape all the panel discussions and stuff like that. And then when that happened, Anchor Bay was very interested in releasing a documentary because we had said, well, we've got the whole history of Halloween. Like if you went to the event, you would have heard from everybody, from all Mustafa Akkad, Erwin Yablans, all the way to like Brad Lurie and anyone who made like part 8. So we cut together the first definitive documentary on the entire Halloween series. And then that's what opened the door to go to, his name was Jason, which was the first all Friday the 13th documentary. And so that's really what happened. I plunged into it. I had no producing experience. I had no event planning experience. But I learned quickly, and I learned that I loved it. So I kind of stayed being a producer, and I do what I love now. So I'm very grateful.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you definitely learn quick if you have no experience of planning that type of event. Like it's either get the experience to do it right then and there, or it's not gonna happen.
Fast, I'm telling you, like, yeah, I can't even begin to tell you how crazy every day was. I had I was living in San Diego when I planned the convention, right? And I had to drive into LA a lot because driving in all the time to go to the convention center and all that. And I don't know if you know this, but I don't know if it's the same now, but back then, the way that you reserved like the Pasadena Convention Center was to guarantee that the local hotels get filled up, right? By
Yeah.
attendance. So they pushed this contract towards me that's like, just sign here. And I'm reading it, and it clearly says, if you sign this document, even if the hotels are empty, you owe us money for every room. And of course, I signed it. I mean, I was having lunch and like with everybody and everything, and I'm signing it, going, well, I believe people will buy tickets. And we had started to sell some tickets, but then I got in my car and I'm driving home, and it's like 2.5 hours back to San Diego, and I'm realizing, what the hell did I just do? Like, I had a panic attack in my car. I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, fortunately, it worked out. The hotels sold out, but I remember distinctly going, I think I might have just screwed up my whole life.
I mean, it is Halloween after all, so I'm sure people would want to see this.
Yeah. What is it? Everyone's entitled to one good scare. I think that was my one worst scare, I think, in that event. So.
Absolutely. So, how did you happen to get involved with being a producer on His Name with Jason and like getting and Halloween, Hellraiser? How did all this come about?
Well, after we did the Halloween documentary, Anchor Bay, it was one of their best sellers. So Anchor
Mhm.
Bay, and they were like the shout factory of their time. And 20 Years of Terror was a standalone DVD that didn't have Halloween on it. It didn't have the
Mhm.
movie. It just had our documentary and like 4 hours of bonus features.
Mhm.
And I had emailed them and said, "Hey, we can do Friday the 13th next." And they like wired me money. Like in my account, there was a $500,000. Like, do it. And I went, okay. And we were off and running. And it was great because I love Friday the 13th and all that. So that's really what happened. And it was like instant producer, and um I just kept going. I mean, Psycho, we did the Psycho Legacy. I did other things like the 50 best horror movies you've never seen is a 2.5 hour documentary that you can find. Just search for it.
Nice.
Um, and I've done a whole bunch of different things, and so that's what happened. Last year we did Unknown Dimension, which was the documentary on the Paranormal Activity movies.
Nice.
A lot of people, like, it's so weird. They are more successful than any horror franchise. Like up until I think recently, they made more money than Halloween. This is
Mhm.
no joke. Six
Wow.
Paranormal Activity movies made more money than Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and they were astronomically successful. And
Wow.
yet I don't hear people talking about them.
Right.
It's like, there's no merchandise. I mean, the movies are treated like real, like, they're supposed to believe they're real.
Mhm.
So we just did that one. It was a lot of fun. It's got great reviews. We went behind the scenes. I told everybody, like, Jason Blum is in it, and he's like, yeah, parts 4 and 6 were stinkers. Like, everybody's very honest, and so it's just been kind of like the thing that I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's how, after Halloween, I just kind of fell into it and loved it, and then just kind of pursued every opportunity I had.
Nice, nice. So, how did you happen to get the call to be a guest on Eli Roth's History of Horror, and what was your reaction when you got that call?
One of the production coordinators just knew me, and they actually had a dropout, so I wasn't a first choice apparently. But he was like, "Hey, you're really knowledgeable," and I said, "Sure, let's do it." And it was great. I mean, I love the show. I love being, on it. I don't think I was in it very much, but
Mhm.
it was just great to be sitting there among everybody and being like, I get to talk about my favorite subjects, slasher movies.
Yep.
So yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So, what was the process like filming that episode?
Well, it was during the pandemic,
Mhm.
so we were quarantining, and so everybody had to wear masks. And they told me that uh, there was no makeup, like you had to come sort of camera ready. And I'm not
Mhm.
like, whatever, I don't need makeup. But I put a little powder on in my car. I'm like, I've done this. I've done hundreds of interviews for my own documentaries. And then I
Mhm.
went in, and then they proceeded to sit me down in a chair, and this woman was like touching my face, and I was like, oh God, but she had like this plastic thing on, and whatever. It was a great experience. And they had said, who was in Christopher Landon, the director of some of the Paranormal Activity movies,
Mhm.
Happy Death Day. He was in there the day before, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But it was fun. And then they brought me into just their studio, and they had like this really decked out set, and sat me down, 2 camera angles. It was fun, and it was just really easy. The director was great, and I had to study though. They gave me a list of movies, and I was like, God, I haven't seen this movie in forever. So I had to like rewatch a bunch of like Mother's Day. I hadn't seen Mother's Day, and I don't
Been
know,
a while for me.
like that. Yeah, but and then so I didn't know what they were going to ask me about, and so I was just prepared. I'm like, I can talk about all these movies. But yeah, that's all it was. And then when it was over,
Nice.
I left, and that was it. So it was treated very nicely, and it was great. It was like a 20-page release form.
Right.
Fun. It was fun.
Nice. So, what do you believe is the most challenging part of being involved in the entertainment industry?
The most challenging part is, oh my God, there's so many challenging
Is, right? From funding to scheduling.
well, being an independent producer, which is what I am.
Mhm.
Um, Typically, like if you're at a studio or something like that, you climb a ladder. You just
Mhm.
you reach this, then you go up and everything. With independent producing, it's like you get, like for any one of my documentaries, you build it, you have success, it gets distributed, and then boom, you're back to square one. You have to kind of build each project. There's no ladder. You just keep, right now I just produced a found footage movie. I've never produced a found footage movie, but I know a lot about found footage movies for doing my latest documentary. And that is, I'm gonna have to find distribution for that. I'm doing another documentary now that I think is probably, I really don't want to talk about it, but it's going to be one of the greatest achievements I think of my life.
Nice.
And that I have no idea how that's going to go. So the most challenging thing is kind of like the unknown, kind of saying like, does anybody care? In this business, you have to justify your existence as an artist. It's very hard to be like, hey, pay attention to what I'm doing. And an artist, like you end up saying to yourself, who cares what I have to say?
Right.
I'm talking about any artist, a singer, painter, whatever. It's like, you're not like a school teacher where like you're doing something actively productive and you're shaping minds for the future. An artist is like, well, nobody cares. So you have to be a self-motivator. Those things are very challenging. And I'm very self-motivated. But I have friends that have left the industry because they're like, I just can't handle the pressures of being an independent, producer or director or writer.
It's very stressful.
It is.
I done my first movie and it didn't come out that good, but it was my first movie, and now we're working on our third one and we're in post-production, and thankfully I have a co-owner now of my company, so we do it together, so we're not doing it one-on-one. Yeah, it's very stressful. And then when you're doing scheduling and then you have people dropping out like literally the day before you have to shoot, it's really crazy. Which that's a perfect answer to my next question, to go into what my next question is, which is, if someone wants to follow like in your footsteps and get into filmmaking, like do you have any advice for them?
Boy, do I. You have to, if you are unable to follow your creative instincts without getting in your own way. I mean, if you self-sabotage, you're not going to last in this business. If everybody has that voice in their head that says, no, can I do it? I can't do it, whatever. You have to really learn how to manage that, because in an instant, you can kill a dream. I had an accidental beneficial thing happen to me during the Halloween convention. I didn't know that all the Halloween producers were kind of at odds with each other, and that some of the actors didn't like each other throughout the series. And I thought, being a Halloween fan, that everybody loved each other. I thought Mustafa Akkad and Erwin Yablans and Joe Wolf and all the people that, we're all buddies and raking in the dollars and having dinner, that was not the case. And so if somebody had told me, what are you doing? There's no way you're going to get all these people to come to your event, I wouldn't have done it. And so I'm glad of my naivete, if that's the word. I was naive, and that was an asset to me. So I would just say, listen, it's going to be hard no matter what you do in this independent world, in Hollywood in general. I just had a friend tell me that like a cousin of his moved here to become an actor. And my first reaction was, oh God, they're in for a ride, because it's just not easy. I think very few people have an easy ride here. So you have to just navigate the crazy, be able to close the door at night and return to some kind of normalcy.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do that. And I've been able to, like, I don't self-destruct, and I don't sabotage. Nice. Those two things, I would say. And notice those things have nothing to do with creativity and writing 5 hours a day. It's all about like your mind. About, can I mentally handle this? It's not like working as an accountant, a lot of crazy all the time. And you can't, and there's a lot of mistrust, expectations of people, those kinds of, just expect that it's not going to be easy. And I think you'll have a better.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So obviously, I'm sure you're a big fan of horror movies, and I can only imagine, how many you've seen. I mean, we both are horror fans. We've probably seen hundreds and thousands of them. So, which horror film or franchise got you? You're starting to becoming the fan.
Becoming a fan. Oh, that easy. Hands. I was Halloween. I was
Yeah.
12 years old, and I saw Halloween on television, and it scared the crap out. I mean, I remember I was by myself. I don't know. I just caught it on television. I think it was its NBC premiere.
Hmm.
And I remember the next day in school, I was going around to all my friends. I was like, "Oh my God, the guy killed the girl in the car, and he kept choking her, and she wouldn't die, and she had to cut her neck." And I remember like everybody thinking I was crazy because no one was into this except for me,
Right.
right? And for years, I thought something was wrong with me because I was the only one that was crazy about these killer movies. And
Hmm.
the same thing happened with Slumber Party Massacre. I remember I came home. My mother had enrolled my twin brother and I into like a Lutheran Wednesday night kind of class at the church because we weren't very religious growing up. And she's like, "I'm going to send you get some religion." And we came home, and again, I turned on the TV, and then Slumber Party Massacre is on TV, and I remember the driller killer, and I remember
Hmm.
like the girl he's killing the pizza guy, and I remember going like, I love this stuff. And so it wasn't until the internet, I'm totally dating myself, like that I realized there was an audience of people. I wasn't alone. But for years, I thought there's something wrong with me. Like no one likes these movies as much as I
Yeah.
do. So I would beg my mother to take me to horror movies, and she did. She took me to see Halloween 2 in theaters and Nightmare on Elm Street and all that
Hmm.
with my twin brother. And I have really great memories of like holding my mom's hand and screaming. And
Nice.
so yeah, but it was definitely Halloween. Yeah, and
Nice.
like so many other people. But remember, I thought I was the only one.
Right.
But
Yeah. People think we're crazy, especially when you're an indie filmmaker and you're like writing, jotting notes for your next movie. And like, I remember me and my co-owner were in McDonald's once for a meeting before pandemic times. And we were just at McDonald's and we were just sitting there in a booth, drinking coffee or whatever, and, having a McDouble or whatever, and just jotting notes of what's going to happen here. And I'm like, so how are we going to kill whatever her name is? Like, do you think we should slit her throat, or is a drill to the head more suitable? And like the old people right in front of us or right behind us or whatever are looking at us like, what? And my co-owner looks back and he goes, it's we're a movie. I swear we're not trying to kill her.
we're creative people. We're seeing.
Right. We're not gonna kill anybody. You're not gonna be reading we're not gonna be seeing our pictures in the front page of the paper tomorrow. I promise.
Exactly. Yeah, my stepmother would say to me, "Why do you love, seeing death and everything?" I'm like, "Well, that's a really good question." And I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, what I see instead of somebody dying is this beautiful like painting and
Hmm.
combination of directing and acting and prosthetics, and I see a piece of art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to see real death, and whenever I hear
Right.
somebody shot, it's horrifying. But in the movies, you know that they yell cut, and
Yeah.
everybody claps and they laugh because the blood bags are spraying. And I think
Yep.
it's a lot of fun. And I was talking to a friend a couple weeks ago about this, and I said, you know what? All these school killings and mass shootings and stuff, you never hear that it's a slasher movie fan.
Right.
It's almost like horror movie fans are the people to be least afraid of in society.
Hmm.
It's just ironic that you're sitting there at McDonald's
Yeah.
doing chicken McNuggets and these two people are afraid of you. What you want to say is, oh, we're not going to kill anybody.
Right. It's
It's
usually the
not
person that never talks to anybody.
exactly right. I just learned throughout the years that horror fans are typically intelligent, kind,
Hmm.
welcoming. Uh,
Hmm.
they're just great people, and they just see
Yeah.
the fun in the chaos,
Yep.
and embrace it. There's a passion, there's a heart for it.
Absolutely. And Friday the 13th Part 7 was the first horror movie I've ever seen. And then I watched all the Friday the 13th from start to finish. And then I ended up watching all the Halloweens and Nightmare on Elm Street. When I got to Halloween, the first one itself scared the shit out of me. And the reason why is because this shit can happen in real life. A crazy mental patient escaping an asylum, stalking what you don't know is his sister. You're just stalking a random girl out there and babysitters watch at her house, at her school, everywhere before he ends up killing them.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. Lucky you that you saw Friday 7 as the first.
Yeah.
I love that movie, and you
Yeah.
got a real treat. You got like they got Jason looked great. He was battling Carrie. There was laughter. It was like lucky you. That's the movie. So a lot of people see some shitty horror movie. And they're like, I don't like horror, and you just got opened a really good door there.
Yep. It was the VHS box cover at our local video rental store back when they, Black Diamond Video Rental, back when VHS tapes and video rental stores were a thing.
Oh, absolutely. I had that VHS for sure. And Kane Hodder signed
Yep. I had so many people on my show that I interviewed from that movie alone. I had Laura Park Lincoln, Susan Blue, Terry Kaiser, Heidi Kozak, Craig Thomas.
Wow.
I actually spoke. I didn't interview her, but I spoke to Diana Barrows on the phone for like 3 hours. We text every now and again. We became good friends.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I it's crazy.
I was interviewed for. His name was Jason. She was the sweetest, kindest. Like,
yeah.
She said, I remember her turning to everyone and going, "Just want to make my fans happy." And I'm like, you gotta love someone who does that, because she has fans.
Who's this again?
Diana Barrows.
Okay. Yes.
I want to make my fans happy, and we're like, we love you. Did I see correctly that you interviewed Bonnie Hellman?
I did.
Bonnie was amazing. Bonnie was great too, and she was fun. And we did something with.
She talked about how she had to do the banana scene all these times.
Oh my god,
she's amazing, absolutely amazing. I also interviewed from Part 7 John Otrin. I had William Butler. I had his interview scheduled with John Carl Buechler, but he died like a week or two after we set something up, and obviously it didn't happen. Which I was really upset about that, which I made a joke kind of out of that, because that he was like the third person I set an interview up with, and they died like a week after.
Oh my god! Stop.
The other one I had was Steve Dash and Dominic Braskia. They were the other two.
Oh my god. Yep. Oh my god, you're great. And what's happening to me next week?
That's what my joke was.
I'm just gonna sit here for 5 days.
That was my joke. Like, everybody's like trying to get out of the interview. What I get myself into? How do I get out of this interview when they die? Yep. I interviewed Dee Wallace. I had some amazing people on. I really did, and I'm grateful for everybody that takes the time out. I just had Terry McMinn on yesterday from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, and that was a good interview. Yeah.
Good for you. It's so great to have these conversations. I mean, it really is, and just extending a thank you to you, because you feel so forgotten in this industry. You know, like, remember I was saying, like, as an independent guy, you kind of have to keep justifying your existence, and I feel like it's just nice to be like asked and have a conversation. It's nice.
Right. Yeah, no problem. I literally had you on my list for so long, but I literally, like, back in, like, I think it was like March, I was booked all the way through July, and like I wanted to have you on because you were on my list for so long for like independent filmmakers and producers to have on, and I'm like, you know what, I need to find a time in June to make this happen, because if I don't know when I'm gonna get them on. I'm thinking now we're almost through June. I still have all the way through July. I have Mark Holton from Leprechaun coming on. I have Catherine Atwood from Jason Goes to Hell scheduled. I have Teo Pendulis from Days of Our Lives coming on Saturday. He played Tony and Andre DeMera.
I don't know who that is.
You ever watch Days of Our Lives?
It was my mother's favorite.
Okay, he was Tony DeMera and Andre DeMera, Stefano's son.
I know who Stefano is. My mother loves Stefano, but I don't remember.
So I have him on Saturday. And he actually I didn't have any scheduled openings for him until like August or late, because I'm booked through July. And he's like, well, can you do weekends? I said, I usually don't, but for you, pick a weekend and we'll make it happen. He said, how about this Saturday? And I'm like, deal. Absolutely. Yeah, but the last question I do got for you: do you have any other projects, film projects, social media accounts, websites, anything at all that you would like to promote to the listening and viewing audience?
I don't know if you noticed. I'm designing board games based on slasher.
Okay. Nice.
We just did one for Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Nice. Freaking love that movie.
Right, so do I. And we needed a board game, and I'm working with the original executive producers of the movie to produce the remake of that film. And we designed a board game, and this is the only one that exists. Well, this is the prototype that the company does. It's got your instruction booklet and all that.
Nice.
But I'll show you this is one. It's a two-sided board, but that's the board.
Nice.
You don't. But there's original illustrations on it. Oh, that's something else. But there's illustrations of Billy.
That's so awesome.
There's the other side of the board.
Wow.
I was playtesting another. But yeah, my partner in this is there's like little figure. Here's little Billy.
Nice. That's so awesome. It's kind of like Candyland in a way, right? Nice.
Yeah, there's a little Ira's Toys bag. Like it's
nice.
Game pieces. There's an Officer Barnes like badge. That's a game piece. There's little snowballs and everything. And so,
that's so awesome.
Yeah, there's cards. Let me show you one of them. Like the holidays are stressful. Move to but yeah, I forgot your question.
Anything to promote.
Oh yeah. So and then we also just did My Bloody Valentine, which we did the digital sample, which that is being sent right now. We're doing another one, and the deal isn't closed yet, so I shouldn't say anything because anything can happen. But yeah, I'm also a professional magician, and so these board games, having a magician design them is a really good thing because they're kind of like magic tricks to me. Like I sort of work backwards. I come up with a theme and figure out what my ending is, and then work backwards. And so I'm having a blast designing those. If you so a website for people to go to if they want to learn about the games that are coming out, it's stopthekiller.com.
Okay.
That's my website. My main producing website is massimedia.net.
Okay.
You can just find me and my links through those two websites.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I thank you so much for joining me this evening, Anthony.
Great. I really appreciate it.
Yep. You have a great rest of your night.
All right. You too.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.